Hey guys, I'm Daniel from Dassh22. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be making this magnificent chessboard with its maple and walnut squares, a red resin surround and a blackwood outer surround. Came out great, didn't it? It's about 1.25 inches thick and it's got 3 coats of polish on it. And today I'm going to show you in detail exactly how I make this. So follow along. Okay, we're ready to start the chessboard. As you see, I've made a few chessboards over the time. Today we start off with a substrate of 1/2 inch birch ply. But the birch ply is not good because it's nice and flat. There's a little bit of bowl in it, but not much. It'll come out. On the back of the birch ply, we're going to put another 6mm birch ply. Balance out the stresses on each side. So when you put the timber on the face, which is going to be about 6mm thick, you've got to put the same on the back, but otherwise it will just cup. The whole thing will just go like that. So that's why we do that. And the timber we'll be using for the white squares, we'll be using maple, US maple, and for the black squares, we'll be using US walnut, and for the surrounds, we'll be using Australian blackwood. So, let's get going. First of all, we will machine the walnut and the US maple so we can get the first glue up happening. I've cut both the walnut and the maple down to 50mm. So there's 8 pieces here, 4 walnut, 4 maple, and they're about 260 long. So this is enough to do the whole chessboard. But we will cut them down to 50mm. They'll give us 4 strips, and then after they're all dry, then we'll cut them down the guts. So we get 2 out of each strip. So that gives us 8. 64 squares. It's going to come out nice, isn't it? We've got a 1/2 inch birch maple ply core. I'm going to put a 6mm birch ply on the bottom to balance the timber when I put it on the top so it doesn't warp. We'll cut it to about, chessboard's going to be 500 by 500, and we'll cut this ply to about 530 by 530 so we can trim it up after it's all glued up. I've got the ply cut to, I think at 520 by 520 I cut it. And now I'll glue them together. So I've got a, down there, I'll show you in a minute, I've got a press that will glue this very flat with no clamps. It's just a press. Guys, a new day. Let's take the chessboard out of the clamps and we'll see what we've got. Yeah, good. I like it. Nice and flat. I'll whack it with the sander a couple of times just to really flatten it off before I cut it. Guys, this has come up great. Now we're going to cut it to 50mm strips, and then we're going to cut those strips down the guts on the bandsaw. So they're going to be about 7 or 8mm thick when they're finished, after we run them through the sander. All the strips are cut, and I've sanded the bottom. I've sanded a cross grain, but it doesn't matter because it's going to go face down onto the substrate. So they come out great. They're ready to go. And I've machined some of the blackwood that we're going to use for the surround. Now I'm going to take the substrate out of the press, and the finished size of the chessboard is going to be 500 by 500. But we're going to put about an 8mm around the substrate first. So it's got to be cut down to 484 by 484. Okay guys, we're just gluing on the blackwood surrounds first, and I'll pin them on with a pin gun. Okay guys, while we're waiting for the chessboard to dry in the press over there, it's story time. So I'll continue on from where I left off last time, where I've moved up to a mass production factory and I left. After that, I had a lot of different jobs. I was a carpet layer for a while, and that's bloody hard work. And then I was labouring in on building sites. It was good to get out of factories. I'd worked in factories all my life, but it was good to get out in the open air and just labour and don't think about much at all. Just go and do your work. And it was fun. It was fun for a while. I knew I always had woodworking to fall back on, a trade, so which is good. So I did that for a while, and then a friend of mine, another cabinet maker, his dad owned a small shop fitting place that done fruit shops and for the fruiterers, and invited me to come and join them, which I did, and it was good fun. They made fruit shop fittings for the fruiterers. Most fruiterers in Melbourne were Italian, as was my friend and his father. So they worked in well. And it would take us about 2 weeks to make a shop, and then we would go fit it over a weekend. And Italians being Italians, they used to pay Bob off every Thursday. Bob used to disappear for a few hours and go see all the fruiterers and collect the weekly money that he was owed and come back, and then we get paid. It was a good job for a while. But I had itchy feet, so I went over to the US for 6 months. I had some friends in Houston, bought a car, travelled up to Colorado, went skiing there for a while, and then over to Los Angeles. And it was just had good fun. It was a good trip. I loved it. Anyway, come back to Melbourne broke, spent all my money, come back to Melbourne broke. Said, oh shit, I better get another job. So I got a job as I got a job for a small firm that done pub bars. And what we would do, we would fit out the bars in the pub. So sometimes we'd have to fit out the bars while the pub was still operating. We'd be working at one end of the bar, and the patron would be at the other end of the bar. Of course, all the old guys would be looking at you, telling you how to do your work, and you'd be trying to ignore them, but they'd be cracking jokes. And what pissed me off most was sometimes they were right, and I'd have to do it their way. That pissed me off. Anyway, it was fun. It was fun, and I really enjoyed that job. There was a variety of things to do. We used to work nights sometimes and days, and the boss there, he was one of the best cabinet makers I had ever seen. He was spot on all the time. He taught me a heap. So, but there was something big on the horizon. And I'll leave it at that, and I'll continue in the next video. Okay, the big reveal. Let's see what we've got. That looks good. No gaps. Came out great. Okay, you see when I clamped it up, I put the clamp over the coils and then screwed the coils down, so that held it tight. And they were under the chest piece, they were under the chessboard. So when I put it in the press the chessboard down flat onto the board. Come on, great. Let's take these off. And another thing, this is a square, so I pressed everything into that corner, so it's got to be square. Okay. Look at that. Come out great. Come out really nice. The holes on the side are going to be covered by the blackwood now. Just put a blackwood strip on the side. Now we've got to cut a blackwood strip to go on the top, level with the chessboard. but we're going to leave a 5mm gap all the way around, and we're going to fill that with resin. Maybe a coloured resin like purple or blue, or just something as a highlight. Okay guys, I like to glue these up as I go, so I know that they'll be in their right position for the next one. So we do the first two, and we'll come back and do the other two in a minute. Then we're doing a 6mm packer. Set it up to the lines. Make sure the joint comes up good. So we're setting it up to the joint basically. Okay, so there. Put a crack. I've left them overhang the end by about 2mm. I'm going to trim them off with a router so they'll come up nice and level. Take the packer out, but there might be glued in there. See how I back cut the router before I go forward so it doesn't get any tear out. And I don't route it to the end. I leave it short. I'm going to sand the rest of it off, because if you route it to the end, you blow it out. It's all finished except for the sanding and the resin and the spraying. Now what I'll do now, I'll sand it up and I'll give it one coat of spray lacquer. But what that does, it seals it off from the resin. So the resin will only won't stick to the timber itself, won't go into the pores of the timber. So that's what I'll do now, and then after the resin dries, we'll put it with the sander again, we'll sand it off, and then we'll just spray it up. Come on, good then. Come on, well, come on, really nice. You couldn't tell that the blackwood is not a solid piece. It's only 6mm only 6mm on the face and 6mm on the side, but it looks like a solid piece. That's the way you save timber. I've given it a quick sand and one spray coat of lacquer just to protect it, just to seal it, and I put a silicone dam all the way around it. Now it's time for the pour. I'm using red resin here, and we'll see how we go. I don't know how much I mixed, I just took a guess. I might have to mix some more, I might not. We shall see. I think I might have to mix some more, I think. Put the chessboard through the sander and sanded all the resin off. Come out great. Look at that. Now what we have to do is give it a final sand, get all the scratch marks out of it and give it a polish. Come out good. Chessboard is totally finished now. Look at that. With its maple and walnut squares and blackwood surround, it came up great. Came up really nice, and the red resin just sets it off. Now you might notice I got 3 chessboards behind me, and this is number 4, and they're all up for sale. If you want one, just DM me over on Instagram at dassh22, and I'll get back to you. Okay, the first chessboard is blackwood, ash and jarrah with a gold resin inlay. The second chessboard is US maple, spalted, teak and Queensland fiddleback maple with a gold inlay. And the third chessboard is walnut and kari with a purple inlay and wenge pieces in the centre. Come up great, didn't it? They're all $200 plus postage. So if anybody would want one, just DM me on Instagram at dassh22. But they've come out great, haven't they? Look at it. Look at that. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching again, and please subscribe and ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next video. We'll be back making boxes. Okay, mate. Okay, guys. We'll see you then. Bye.